This unbelievable story begins in Northern Europe, in Sweden, but not in Stockholm and not in any of the large, well-known cities often associated with innovation and global business. Instead, it begins 500 kilometers south, in a small town called Älmhult, a town with only 8,000 people, surrounded by endless forests, long winters, and the cold silence of the north. At first glance, there is nothing remarkable here. No skyscrapers, no financial districts, no visible signs that one of the world's largest brands would be born in this quiet, isolated place. Life moves slowly. Nature dominates everything. But this calm is deeply deceptive, because within this silence, a way of thinking was formed, shaped by scarcity, discipline, and survival. A mindset that would later rewrite the rules of the global furniture industry. Kamprad was born in 1926 in the poor rural region of Småland, Sweden. This was not a land of abundance. Resources were limited, money was scarce, and waste was considered a moral failure. People here learned to survive by being frugal, by working relentlessly, and by solving problems with practical creativity, rather than luxury or comfort. From a very young age, Kamprad entered the world of selling. He started small, selling matches to neighbors, then fish, seeds, and stationery. These early experiences taught him lessons no business school could offer. He learned that customers care deeply about price. He learned that margins mean nothing without volume. And most importantly, he learned that controlling costs is often more powerful than increasing revenue. Very early in life, he understood a principle that would define his future. Real profit is not created by high prices, but by high volume and strict, almost obsessive cost control. This way of thinking later became the backbone of IKEA. His first major business risk was choosing low prices as an absolute competitive advantage, instead of following traditional retail models. A decision that, in a conservative and established market, could easily have led to complete failure. Today, every single day, the train station in Älmhult fills with people who all share the same destination. They are not coming to shop, they are coming to work. Nearly half of the town's population works directly or indirectly for one name, IKEA. In this town, IKEA is not just a company. It is part of everyday life. Its name appears on warehouses, office buildings, logistics centers, and road signs. It shapes the local economy, the rhythm of daily routines, and even the identity of the town itself. More than 4,500 people work for IKEA right here in Älmhult. This level of concentration creates enormous strength. Knowledge, culture, and innovation accumulate in one place. But it also creates risk. When a town depends so heavily on a single brand, success and failure become deeply interconnected. Behind this town and behind this brand stands one man, Ingvar Kamprad. Simple in lifestyle, strict in discipline, and intensely ambitious in vision. He believed that work should be the central purpose of life. Comfort was secondary. Efficiency was everything. Kamprad demanded total commitment from his employees, but he demanded even more from himself. He flew economy, drove old cars, and avoided luxury even when he became one of the richest people in the world. But this empire did not begin with privilege or elite education. It was built on discipline, scarcity, and a deep fear of wasting resources. A mindset rooted years earlier in the poor farmlands of Småland, where every mistake had a cost. In 1943, at just 17 years old, Kamprad founded IKEA. The name was formed from his initials, the family farm Älmhult, and the village Gunneryd. At first, IKEA was a simple mail-order business. Furniture was not even the main focus. But when IKEA entered the furniture market, resistance came quickly and aggressively. Local manufacturers felt threatened. Suppliers refused to cooperate. Boycotts followed. Growth slowed to a crawl, and at times, Survival itself was uncertain. This was one of IKEA's first serious failures. Kamprad's response was not retreat, it was escalation. He made a bold and dangerous decision to reduce dependence on traditional suppliers and move toward in-house design and controlled production. It was expensive, it increased operational pressure, and at times, it nearly broke the company. But it also defined IKEA's future independence. The 1950s marked a turning point. Transportation costs were rising. Furniture arrived damaged. Losses were mounting. IKEA was pushed dangerously close to financial instability. Then, a simple but revolutionary idea emerged: flat pack furniture. Products designed to be disassembled, packed efficiently, and assembled by the customer. This was not just a logistical innovation, it was a philosophical shift. This was a full-scale risk. Responsibility for the final product experience shifted to the buyer. Assembly errors, frustration, and dissatisfaction could have destroyed trust in the brand. But the opposite happened. Costs dropped dramatically, prices fell, distribution scaled globally, and IKEA created a competitive advantage that competitors could barely imitate. From the 1960s through the 1980s, IKEA expanded rapidly across international markets. Stores opened across Europe, then North America, then Asia. Sales increased, brand recognition exploded. IKEA became a global symbol of affordable design. But success exposed weaknesses. Decision-making remained centralized. Power was concentrated. The company relied heavily on its founder's vision and control. In some markets, IKEA struggled to understand local lifestyles, cultural habits, and living spaces. The company was forced to balance global standardization with local adaptation, a process filled with costly trial and error, strategic missteps, and learning under pressure. To protect IKEA from hostile takeovers and tax pressure, Kamprad created a highly complex ownership structure involving foundations and layered entities. From a strategic perspective, it was brilliant. From a transparency perspective, it was controversial. Governments and media began asking questions. Criticism grew. Later, revelations about Kamprad's political associations in his youth damaged the brand's ethical image. This became one of IKEA's most serious non-operational weaknesses: reputational risk tied directly to its founder's past rather than its products. Today, IKEA faces a very different world. Environmental criticism is growing, material costs are rising, consumer expectations are changing rapidly. Online-first competitors move faster and personalize more. IKEA's strengths lie in sustainability investments, renewable energy, and environmentally conscious design. But weaknesses remain. Assembly complexity frustrates customers. Product quality is not always consistent. The biggest risk is generational. Younger consumers value speed, convenience, and personalization more than price alone. The question now is whether IKEA can evolve without losing its core identity. IKEA rose from poverty, frugality, and early failure to become a global empire, not through luxury, not through exclusivity, but by democratizing design. Its success was built on calculated risks, accepted failures, and relentless cost control. Its weaknesses emerged through complexity, concentration of power, and reputational exposure. The story of IKEA is the story of a company that broke the rules of its industry. And now, to survive the future, it must rediscover the same courage that defined its beginning. My name is Hora, and this was another real story from our world that we explored together. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Your support gives me the motivation to create the next one. In the comments, tell me what you think. Why was IKEA able to outperform its competitors and grow its market size? How did it expand into so many countries and remain successful for decades? What is IKEA's true competitive advantage? And which groups of people do its products really serve? I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts.